Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at some of the new content that's now available since part 2 of our Fire Emblem Kindred Ties event has released. They saved a bunch of the harder content for earlier this week, and this came out on the same day as Tiki's banner. So I did my summoning yesterday and decided I would check out some of this content today. I'm going to save Colosseum for another video since I feel like that's really a world in and of itself. So today we're going to be looking primarily at Chrom's Trial, which is playing now, and then we'll switch over to the Lunatic difficulty of Thor's Descent. So Chrom's Trial, probably a little bit harder than Tiki's Trial even, but the fact that she has multiple elements does make hers pretty challenging. You can see here that some of my AI are not doing the best job dodging, but of course, I think it's because Hunter Cerise AI just really wanted that Dear Diary proc, and thankfully she got it without dying there. But my main challenge in this fight, honestly, is just that I felt like it was really hard to see everything going on with my graphics on high settings. That's something that is going to return in Colosseum for me, where there's just so much going on, and especially with Valerio and Mitsuba, and their auto attacks, you know, summoning tempura fish and meat and all sorts of different food objects, it does become a little challenging to tell what is going on the screen. I'm just trying the best I can to avoid any of the red AoEs or throw out an iframe and cast my heals off my helper as needed so that none of my units end up accidentally getting knocked out by Chrom here. Chrom's Aether attack is pretty powerful in this. It could easily one-shot your adventurers. All of my team here is using tier 2 High Dragon weapons, so if you don't have that level of investment, I could see this being a pretty challenging fight since water really doesn't have that many strong yet accessible weapons like the Chimera Tech weapons. So this is going to be a harder one, I would imagine, for many players. As Peony, you could use Shadow, and for Tiki, you could use Wind, at least for part of it. So this one might be the hardest one yet. One of the cool things is that the easier difficulties of this, like the normal and hard difficulty, that you want to do 20 times for the whole event in order to get some endeavors out of the limited endeavors page, the hard difficulty drops a lot of consecrated water, which is used to level up your worm prints. So I actually spent some time just farming that up 20 times and got a really nice stash of that material. So it's a good way to build out a worm print collection if that's something you haven't done yet. Obviously Chrom was no problem for us, but it got kind of dicey with Hunter Cerise, and I could see my ranged AI potentially dying had I to do this a couple more times. Definitely Gala Elisan and her Flame Res buff probably saved us there from one of those close calls with Hunter Cerise. So let's head out of the event page for Chrom's Trial and go and look at what's in the treasure trade now, since that is something else that's expanded with this update. Originally, we could only trade universal shards for things in the treasure trade. Now that the second part of the event is available, there are also these universal crystals, and you can trade down the crystals into the shards, but I don't think you can trade up. So we're going to clear out the special items on the treasure trade, and among the regular items, I wanted to test this, and I've seen it confirmed elsewhere, but I'm pretty sure that you can actually trade down here into the shards and have that fulfill your daily endeavor for getting at least 100 shards. So we'll want to do more than 15, a couple more at least. There we go, and let's check the endeavors page. Yeah, so that totally works. You can do that since it's not as easy to accumulate those shards anymore. Once you start doing the harder difficulty quests, you are going to get more crystals. Basically, as with the first part of the event, you want to trade for any of these one-of items, the augments, and eventually, if you play out a lot of the event, you will probably have materials left over in terms of your shards to also get some of the lesser crafting items that are available here. One of the big ones that I didn't show off right now, but I ended up picking up later on and just clearing out completely, is rainbow orbs. There are 100 rainbow orbs in here, which is pretty nice. since those are super slow to grind up right now. It is one of the better times. Elemental Ruins is on double drops, which helps on expert difficulty, but Rainbow Orbs are not a guaranteed drop, so there could be several runs in a row on auto repeat where you don't get one. This is the team I used for Chrom's trial. I hope that Chrom's trial worked out well for you, but I have not cleared it with a budget team or budget comp yet. It's probably the type of thing that you can solo, it's just going to take a while. But let's go ahead and switch over to Thor's Descent Lunatic, and I will show my strategy for that. I'm using a team here with 2 Max Unbound event Wyrmprints, as well as just totally filling out the rest of my Wyrmprint slots with 0 Unbound Wyrmprints from the Wyrmprint shop. These are the prints that give you an extra resolve bonus, and so with this setup, I'm able to get about 130,000 resolve per clear as long as I don't mess anything up. I found that this time around the defensive battles, you know, not having some of the other mechanics like the bridges and houses, I actually do kind of miss it. It feels a lot more like a traditional Musou game or Warriors game, where it's really just lots of enemies, but they're so tanky that I just felt like it took a while without a lot of interesting things happening. And the co-op experience for this might be different. I still have not tried this in co-op. I'm just not that confident in being able to get all of the resolve if I'm in a co-op setting, because I don't know what my teammates are necessarily going to do, and that could be costly as far as the grinding for this goes. Just like with the Valor last time around, you can grind up to 10 million and obtain rewards based on the milestones that you've reached. But like before, the best rewards stop at 1 million, and so I think a lot of players will probably be content to stop there, or say 3 to 5 million range if they want to keep playing this. This does have a chance to drop Rainbow Orbs too, which is kind of nice since those are something a lot of us need right now for mana spirals, upgrading new characters, and elemental altars past level 35. So there are definitely incentives to play this mode, but I think as one of those people who did grind out the first mode to 10 million, I'm a little bit burnt out at this point. Like, that actually had a bigger effect on me than I thought. I was enjoying it while it happened, but I think I probably should have saved some of my energy and efforts for this mode, because this time around, well, I mean, I guess it's kind of the same difference. Actually, I haven't looked closely at the rewards to see whether the Resolve rewards are any different or better than the Valor rewards. But at least up through 1 million, it looked like there was some really good stuff, like a Damascus Ingot, a whole Sunlight Stone. There's lots of goodies in there, so I'm not 100% sure how far I'm going to get on this, but I'm going to try my best. And here is where you'll see you have to be super careful with this. The groups of wolves plus a platoon leader will just completely run past you and ignore you, which seems to be a difference than last year. Last year, when you targeted the wolves, for example, they would at least turn and face you, even if they're near the gate. This year, it doesn't seem like they do that, and the platoon leader in particular, it's tanky enough that you really need to be prepared to rush it down. I've heard in co-op, people kind of prefer to leave one person near the gate whenever they know that the platoon leader plus wolf packs are going to spawn and head for the gate. You probably want to transform into a dragon and just defeat them right away, or have a skill up, but the thing is they'll just walk past you, and even with the skill you may not be able to target it onto them successfully. Another thing of note here is that you can run very fast in this mode, but you'll see your run speed is slow as long as you have a targeting reticle on the enemy. Once you break from the enemy, your run speed will increase, but look, I'm attacking this platoon leader, I'm trying to whittle it down, and it just kept walking and going on without me, so that is the thing you're going to want to look out for here if you want to make sure your gate has 100% health. I ended up using the Shadow team led by Vice, because Vice is one of my strongest characters. But I think that Blade and Lance leads are pretty good for this, because you can kind of force strike to intercept some of those platoon plus wolf squads fairly effectively. Get in front of them and then use a skill on them, for example. That makes it a little easier. And here I realized that I had left behind the gate undefended and accidentally targeted onto the wolf. Thank goodness we got to that platoon leader before he got to the gate. It's not a huge knock on your points. I think it's like 100% bonus or something. But it is relevant, especially with how much you are expected to grind out this mode. It is cool that they've implemented the adventurers from the events as enemies here in their form of varieties. So now we're fighting against Peony. Earlier Tiki was here, and you can summon Chrom if you've cleared out the other enemies within a certain time limit. I think it's with 5 minutes left. You'll see here that I'm really going to cut it close, and we're still able to summon Chrom. So that's around the time I usually clear, or sometimes a little bit faster. And I've always pretty much been able to get Chrom in co-op. I suppose there's a chance players might just go for the exit and not actually try to defeat Chrom, but hopefully they will, because he actually spawns near the exit now. Hopefully people are aware of that and realize it at this point, and I think most players probably have a sense for it. And it doesn't feel as much like the Shadow Knight. You know, the Shadow Knight felt pretty tanky, although not as much with these tier 2 High Dragon weapon and Agito weapon units, but Chrom felt like he went down fairly fast, although his attacks did a pretty decent amount of damage. So that was pretty much my experience with Thor's Descent Lunatic. You'll see that we're able to get the maximum amount of points possible for our setup here. I might end up experimenting a little more and possibly switching to a Yuden lead or maybe replacing Vice. Having Yuden as a lead, even though he's not a Blade or a Lance, could be nice because he's able to ramp not only from the Slayer's Devastation event Wormprint, but he can also ramp from his Dragon's Claws, and I don't think it's worth the trouble to kind of switch to Yuden to transform, so I just transformed his Vice this time. But Thor's Descent Lunatic, it's going to be a long grind on this one. At least co-op is there, and I'll probably try that out to see how fun that is. I think it'll probably be pretty enjoyable, but it feels a little bit of a notch down, in my opinion, from the defensive battles last year. Still liked it, still had fun with it, but that's kind of my 2 cents and my impressions on this particular mode. And that's pretty much going to do it for this video, everyone. I will show off my team that I used for this farming strat. I guess you saw the pathing. It probably could be improved a little bit. We just wanted to make sure that we were protecting the gate at all times. The big mobs of enemies do just kind of stand still, so you don't have to worry about them as much. And we wanted to make sure that we spawned Chrom, which we were able to do. But that is going to really do it for today. Let me know what your experience with the event has been so far. Expect some more summoning for Chrom and Peony very soon, and then after that, I will take a look at the Coliseum, which I'm still very, very hyped for. Thank you once again for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.